Steelers fans, Michael, have been clamoring for this for a while, it feels like, and they finally got what they want. Matt Canada is out in Pittsburgh following their 13-10 loss to the Browns this past Sunday. Head coach Mike Tomlin saying in a statement this morning, Matt Canada has been relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator. I appreciate Matt's hard work and dedication and wish him the best moving forward in his career. What was your instant reaction when you got the alert on your phone this morning?
Well, I think there's certain times where you can't continually lie to the team, right? We saw this, and I wrote about it today for VSiN. I mean, Robert Saleh's up there, trying to defend Zach Wilson, and every day he tries to do it, he loses credibility. And I think Mike Tomlin in the same thing. Mike Tomlin did everything in his power to help Matt Canada. He could have easily gave into it last year and fired him. He tried. Just some guys are not equipped for becoming an offensive coordinator. It was a surprising hire when they did it. Matt Canada was up for the UNLV job before Barry. This was the time before Barry. I forget
Odom?
Barry Odom. Excuse me. Barry Odom got the UNLV job. He was up for the job before, almost got hired. But he didn't, and then he took the Pittsburgh offensive coordinator job, which really didn't have a lot of pro experience. Remember, he also got fired at LSU when he went from Boston College down to LSU. That didn't last very long either. So, it's a giant step. I think the Steelers do a really good job of trying to help the coach. They don't leave you out on an island. They have never fired a coach in season before since 1941. You have to go back to the good old days. I think it was Burt Bell that they fired, and he was part owner of the team.
He fired himself.
So this is historic, right? But it had to be done. They're 28th in points scored, 28th in yards, 31st in passing yards, 27th in yards per attempt, 13th in rushing. They haven't had more than 22 first downs in a game all year, and they only did that once. They're 30th in the National Football League in first downs. They're 29th in scoring. They're 25th in EPA. I mean, every game, no matter who they play, they're going to not score. They can't score. So when they play a good offense that their defense struggles to stop, they're going to lose. We saw that with Jacksonville. When they play a bad offense, they're going to be in the game until the last quarter. We saw that with Cleveland. But there's no way you can survive this way. They're going down to Cincinnati, and who's the better quarterback, Browning or Pickett? Who's got a better offense, the Bengals or the Steelers? I mean, that's a one-point game. The Steelers may end up being favored. It may flip to Cincinnati. I'm not sure that if healthy, if they have Higgins and they have all their guys, you may not want to take the Bengals in that game because Pickett doesn't offer any advantage.
Yeah, I mean, 4 straight sub 200-yard passing games and 1 passing touchdown in that time. He hasn't done a whole lot for you, that's for sure. And with this move in general, Michael, I totally agree. I feel like it's a move that you have to do if you want to save the locker room. The stat that has been making the rounds every single week this season is that the Steelers continue to be outgained game after game after game. Yet, yes, they are 6-4 at this point, but what you said about them making a coaching change, something historically they haven't done, like we all know that this is a franchise that's the definition of stability. They have had 3 head coaches in general since 1969, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and now Tomlin. They don't fire anybody mid-season. You mentioned it was just their own owner who fired himself back in the 40s, which is just absurd to hear. So that shows how much they felt this change was necessary, and to do it Thanksgiving week, no less, as well, just re-emphasizing the importance of that. All the while, Michael, this is still a 6-4 over 500 football team, and how often do you see teams make coaching changes when they're in that situation?
Well, I think it speaks to that, right? I mean, they know they're in perfect position. They know that Cincinnati lost their quarterback. They know Cleveland, who they just lost to, lost their quarterback. This is the perfect time. And the AFC is kind of up for grabs. I mean, Baltimore, they've beaten once, right? How, I don't know, 17-10, but they did. I mean, we'll go back and do an autopsy on that. I mean, they're in the thick of this thing. And if they can and they have talent on offense, that's the scary part, right? You want to throw the ball to Johnson. You want to throw the ball to Pickens. Like, it shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard. But, the players, when you don't have success and you've had enough rope to go through it like Matt has. And I like Matt. Matt's a really good guy. It's just sometimes guys are not meant to be coordinators. I don't think this is not anybody's fault but the coach. And I think Mike had to make the decision, and I'm sure Steeler fans wish he would have done it earlier. But it's, these offensive coordinator jobs. I was talking to a former player yesterday in the league, and we were talking about how there's so many inexperienced play callers, and it affects the game, and nobody really has a system that they bring with it. It used to be, and I hate to sound like remember when, it's the lowest form of conversation, but you used to have to take a long time before you get a coordinator job. Now, they're hiring everybody young, but that doesn't mean they're experienced. It's different from playing Madden to calling games. Yeah, it's completely, I know this shocks you, I know. Now, see, in Washington, they're playing Madden. They're just calling pass plays with no regard at all for how to help the team win. None. They're loading up the stat sheet, and that's great for Eric Bieniemy. Maybe he'll get a head coaching job out of it. I hope he does. But the reality of it is they're not even trying to play complementary football. It is truly what Mike McCarthy's done in Dallas. You may not like the offense down there. You may think Mike McCarthy's not a good coach. You may think he bundles things. He makes huge blunders on game decisions. Some of it all is true. But in terms of managing the game and setting the offense up, they're playing way less defense, 27 minutes. They're converting third downs at a high rate, and they're controlling the pace of the game. They've had over 90 more plays than their defense.
With the thing about limited experience, I feel like everybody wants and thinks they're going to get a Sean McVay, but not everybody is Sean McVay at the end of the day. Like he's the unicorn. He's the exception to the rule, not the rule. And I do wonder in this initial game coming up this weekend against the Bengals, if maybe the Steelers do get a little bit of a pop, right? Like we saw that happen with the Buffalo Bills after Ken Dorsey was fired. They go up on and put up 36 on the Jets. We saw the Raiders win back-to-back games and took a Super Bowl contender in Miami to task after firing their coaches. So maybe there's that reality check element a little bit that can help teams. And you mentioned the article that you have up at VSiN.com today about the Jets. We spoke a little bit yesterday about the report Zach Wilson's benching, but then yesterday became official when Robert Saleh talked to reporters that not only is he benched, but Tim Boyle is going to start this weekend. Trevor Siemian's going to be the backup, and Zach Wilson is third string now down the line.
I mean, look, when he just got demoted to third string, I mean, like seriously, like his career is officially over. But for me, watching Zach Wilson, I think, you can make the case, and people have, that he's got a great arm. And he does. And he can throw the ball really well all over the field. And he's got athleticism, and you could see that. I think what he can't do, Stormy, is he just can't do it all the time. I don't think he loves football. I don't think it's passionate for him. I don't think he puts the time in. I don't think he wants to be a great player. I think he's been burdened with skill. I think he has been burdened with talent. And I think 5 years from now, we're all going to watch a documentary on him about how happy he is living on some ranch in Utah, because he doesn't really want to play, because he has enough skill to play. There's something missing here. It isn't like he's a blown pick, like he can't throw the ball, but he just doesn't. To me, I never get the sense that he's fully engaged. And when I watch him, that message tends to permeate through the team. Now, Saleh went from saying he's really improving to benching him to third string. My question, what I tried to write about today is, I know everybody thinks this coaching staff of the Jets is safe because Rodgers is coming back next year. But are they? Todd Bowles won 37% of this game. Saleh's won 34%. You look at his record in the AFC East.
It's bad, I know, but I feel like he has to be, especially because Nathaniel Hackett's his offensive coordinator, and that's part of the draw for Aaron Rodgers in general, right? I feel like they get a mulligan on this season no matter how bad it gets because of that. And it's going to get bad because, like you said about Zach Wilson moving out, we've seen this line dramatically shift from 6.5 against the Dolphins this week to now 10. There's even 10.5s out there because Tim Boyle is not going to be your answer. Tim Boyle is not a good quarterback. He wasn't a good quarterback at UConn. He wasn't a good quarterback at Eastern Kentucky. His 12 touchdowns and 26 interceptions across 4 seasons in college isn't going to help him in the NFL. Even his NFL appearances, 18 total times that he's been in games, 3 touchdowns, 9 picks, 60% completions. He's not going to be better. So if you're trying to set yourself up to win games and have Aaron Rodgers play, that's an absurd thought to me. And we'll maybe hear a little bit more about it. I know Rodgers is on McAfee Tuesdays today, so maybe we'll get an interesting soundbite or two from him today. But it's a issue. It's a non-question to me at this point about the Jets' future this season. It's done. Put a fork in them. Let's move on from it. They currently sit 14th of 16 in the crowded AFC standings.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.